Today is April 10th, 2026. The last segment in my series of art journey videos went up on YouTube this morning. Yay. And I am finally sitting down to record the conclusion video to this whole project. And my God, did this project end up being way bigger than I expected. When I first started, I thought for sure it would be like maybe a 40-minute, 1 hour and 10-minute kind of video. But it was 19 years of art, and I could not bring myself to whittle it down further than I did. And so it probably comes to about 3 hours, all the segments put together, not even including this one. And of course, I did this like right at the end of my seasonal tax office job, just as things are crazy busy. And I am completely overwhelmed with the 2 jobs and everything going on. And this took so much longer than I expected to edit. I am so tired. For like a week and a half, pretty much all I did was work, sleep, and edit those videos. And to push my computer to the limits, because it turns out my computer does not have a dedicated graphics card, so all the video editing and processing goes through the CPU, and I was completely overwhelming my computer the way I was structuring all the layers that were going into those videos with the overlays and oh my... When I first had the idea of doing the daily videos, my first thought was, I mean, hey, daily videos, that's probably really good in the algorithm, right? And then before I even posted the first segment, I realized, no, this project is extremely self-indulgent and almost no one is gonna watch it. So I was not surprised with the numbers that these videos did. But I realized as I was working on it, this was not a project to grow my channel, if that makes sense. But I realized as I was working on it, this project was not about growing my channel or my social media presence or platform or whatever. This was extremely self-indulgent, but it actually did me a lot of good, because for the first time, I sat down and I looked at all the art that I still have, that I have done over the years. And I actually took time to look at it, and I had to think about it and come up with things to say about it. Even if some of that was just, oh wow, this one isn't very good. Oh wow, this one is actually better than I remembered. This one, Jesus, what was I thinking? I'm aware the videos aren't that interesting, and they are extremely repetitive. Again, it's 19 years worth of art. However, looking back at it and revisiting the context around a lot of that art and thinking about why so much of my art has been lost over the years, it gave me a new understanding and kind of appreciation for what I've gone through in the last 20 years. Like, the number of times I was manipulated or downright ordered to throw away my art because it was ungodly to draw anime or to do this or that. And there were things I didn't even talk about in the videos of, like, I would draw something and a friend would be like, oh, I think that's too sexual, or this or that. And so I would throw it away. And now I'm like, that was actually really good. that was really good. And I wish even if I hadn't posted it, I wish I still had it so I could look back on it. And sometimes I feel like I save too much. And I'm like, maybe I should delete some of this old art, and maybe I should delete some of these unfinished sketches. Well, one, it's not surprising that I hold on to things because I've been traumatized by loss. But also, I think it's good to have an archive of the things I made. Because I made them. Because it's part of my life journey and my process and how I got here. How I got here. That is a lot. That is a heavy statement. Okay. And I mean, I talk about this being a self-indulgent project. A lot of the videos I've done in the past few months have been fairly self-indulgent, and I realize it's been very therapeutic for me to make a lot of these videos and to just... It's kind of felt... And maybe I shouldn't say this here, because I want to do a video coming up talking a bit more about this. But the last few months of the videos that I've made have really felt like kind of draining the poison from a wound and just letting a lot of things out and letting the sunlight in to clear the air. That has been hugely helpful for my mental health. And same with this project, you know, looking back over it. And I don't regret doing it at all. I'm so glad that I did, because I learned so much. And as embarrassing as it was to look back at that art from 2007 and 2008 and how messy and edgy and all that was, seeing the progress I had and even realizing that the stuff I did in 2025 was way better than I remembered, because I've talked about 2025 was a really rough year and I only drew like 6 or 7 pieces. Part of that was because I'd lost all faith in myself. And looking back helped me rebuild some of that faith and realize, oh yeah, I am actually a pretty good artist. Obviously, there's still room to improve, and I did take a couple notes of things that I'm like, okay, that is something I'm consistently not happy with. My facial structure. That's something I need to improve on. If you watched the videos, there's a lot of, oh, the face is really wonky. The body here is great. The shading here is good, but the face is all wrong. And we're going to pretend that that's not there because it drags down the whole art piece. So it's like, okay, I still need to work on facial structure. Now that I know that specifically, I know what to work on. I know I can work to improve it. Speaking of, I assume you remember this from way back at the beginning of this series. I included this in the first video talking about how I've been sitting on this for weeks, and I just didn't think I was so afraid of ruining it. And part of that I realized was because it's like, okay, I had finished the sketch. The next step was the line art. And I realized I'm so scared of doing line art as a holdover from traditional art when it's like, okay, you put ink on the page and if you mess it up, it's done. It's completely ruined. And, but I realized, hey, this is digital art. That's not the case. It finally clicked that, like, if it doesn't come out the way I want, I can erase it and do it again as many times as I need to. Just delete the layer and start over. So I finally did the line art. And then I did the colors. And then I tweaked the colors. Because of course I did. And then I started rendering. And that's where I had a bit of a moment, because I had some trouble with the face. Shocking. And I stopped and I was like, maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe the way I render is too complicated. Maybe I need to completely relearn how I render. Maybe I need a completely different shading style. And I was looking at other artists and I'm like, okay, they get an emotional impact, by using less. Maybe I need to rethink this. And I spent days thinking about this and journaling about it. And then I actually opened the art again and I looked at it and I said, okay, I'll fix this. I'll adjust this. I'll add some shadow here, some lighting here. And then I stopped and I'm like, no, I am actually really happy with my style. I actually really like the way my art looks. Again, room for improvement. There's things I look forward to doing better in the future. But I'm like, no, I do like my style. I like my art. And so I finished it. And I am very pleased to announce that this is my first piece of 2026. It took until April, but I finished my first piece of 2026. And especially at the end of this journey, after everything I've been through in the last few years and everything I talked about in these videos, coming out the other side, especially after 2025 and what happened in 2024, coming out the other side and drawing this after going over everything, this feels like a victory. This feels like a declaration of survival, that I made it through and I'm still here and I'm still standing and I'm still drawing and I'm still creating and I'm still writing and I'm still here. And despite everyone who tried to change that fact, I won. Those aren't words I've ever said very much in my life. I don't know if I've ever said that in my life, that I've won. But I did. I'm still here. I don't know what to do with it, but I'm here. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about this, but I think I've said everything that needs to be said in regards to this. I do have other projects I am working on, so as much as I'm looking forward to drawing more, I'm probably not going to be focusing on it for at least another month or two, because I have other stuff I'm working on, which I will talk about more in the future. Good news is, next week, we're going back to normal videos. Like I said, this should be going up on my last day at the office job, so next week I plan to talk a little about that and debrief. I want to do a video talking about like just my experience doing YouTube videos for the last few months, because it's been very, like I said, it's been kind of like draining the poison and opening the windows and letting the sunlight in on this very not sunny day. But again, I live in the Pacific Northwest. I think I also have more thoughts on Age of Scorpius, so I might do another video on that, but we'll see. Yeah, no, next week, back to our regularly scheduled programming, which is mostly just whatever I have on my mind, and I'm getting back to my other main story quest line projects, not side quest 2-week art journey project. Oh God. Oh, this has taken so long. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this up here. And to the few people who watched the art journey videos, thank you. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Again, I'm very aware, very self-indulgent project. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. So I'm going to wrap this up. And until next time, everyone, stay safe, take care, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye-bye.